In this video, Tesla stock once again gets smoked amid stock market turbulence, huge news out of China, a massive milestone, EVs, fully electric vehicles, now comprising 1/4 of the new vehicle market. Tesla delivers the first Texas-made long-range Model Ys. And unbelievably, Volkswagen claim that Tesla is, quote, weakening, and that's right, Volkswagen will overtake Tesla within 3 years. I'm not sure how high Volkswagen are, but please, pass the joint. So, let's get into it. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoy these videos, there's a bunch of ways you can support the channel, access exclusive content and perks. Check out the links in the pinned comment below. If you want to take it to the next level, join thousands of members on Patreon to gain exclusive access to over 100 Q&A videos, loads of exclusive content, exclusive access to my up-to-date 10-year Tesla stock price targets, and even access my Tesla valuation model at the investor support level and above. You can also pick up some Tesla, Elon, and investment themed merch in the merch store. So check out the links in the pinned comment below, and thanks for your support. Unsurprisingly, Tesla stock remains more volatile than your imaginary girlfriend, down 5% today, closing at $697.99 after hours. What do you know? $696.90. Surely not a coincidence. Year to date, Tesla stock now down almost 42%, and over the last 1 year, up a mere 2.53%. You know it's coming. Still, in my opinion, the best risk-adjusted opportunity that I'm aware of in the stock market. Now, to be clear, there's plenty of other better opportunities out there. I just don't know of them. If you do, please let me know in the comments below. Don't worry, I've already heard about the hot tips, including Nikola, Lucid, and Rivian. Sarcasm. The Nasdaq 100 today down over 3%. Amazon stock over 5%. That's right, the fear, uncertainty, doubt, and panic continues in the stock market, an absolute bloodbath today. Apple stock down almost 3%, Alphabet stock down over 3%, Rivian stock down over 5%, Lucid stock down 2.5%, and Nikola stock joining the party down almost 6%. Let me know in the comments below if anyone bought the dip in Tesla stock this week. Unfortunately for me, I didn't. I have a reasonably valid excuse there. Let's move on. And now onto the massive milestone out of China. 1/4 of new vehicles sold being fully electric. Now, if you're a regular viewer of the channel, you saw the video a couple of days ago talking about the EV adoption curve, how everyone's massively underestimating. China is simultaneously the world's most important, the world's largest, and the world's most mature electric vehicle market. China is a leading indicator of global EV adoption. Watch the curve that happens in China. A similar curve is going to happen everywhere else. And just for the record, I know this is very complicated. I know some of you aren't here for a math lesson, but let's do some really quick math here. If you double 25 once, you get to 50%. And if you double 50% once, you get to fill in the blank, 100%. That's right. New EV sales, which have been consistently doubling every year or so, are only 2 more doublings away from being 100% of the new vehicle market in China. Do you understand the implications? And by the way, if Mary Beaspara is watching, or Kia, Toyota, or in fact just about any CEO of any legacy automotive manufacturer, the answer to that question, do they understand, is obviously no. But of course, they're all far too busy captaining their Titanics directly toward an iceberg to be watching some idiot on YouTube, so hey, don't blame them. Here we are over on Teslarati, quote, China's EV market hits its stride, with 1 in 3 sales being electrified. By the way, if you guys aren't familiar with this tiny death box on wheels in the header image, this is the Wuling Mini. Great product as long as you don't value surviving a collision with anything larger than, well, your girlfriend. In fact, even something smaller than your girlfriend would probably win in a collision. This is the segment of the market that Tesla's never touching, because you cannot, and I mean cannot, make a safe vehicle of this size until all vehicles on Earth are autonomous and no longer having accidents in the first place. I know there's a few geniuses ready to argue in the comments how this is untrue. Please don't embarrass yourself. Get a real quick grounding in physics, understand mass and energy, and end of discussion. Let's continue. Chinese electric vehicle sales have hit, let's ignore this 31% because it's untrue. I have a major issue with calling hybrid electric vehicles because they're not. They're gasoline vehicles with a fucking battery in them, and they're also extremely dumb. In fact, beyond dumb, they're completely idiotic. Just so much unnecessary complexity. Anyway, I'll get off my high horse. 25% of those sales, aka the only shit that matters, 25% of those sales being pure electric vehicles, a substantial growth year over year. According to a report by Clean Technica, sales of electrified vehicles... Here we go. Electrified vehicles, which includes the dumb shit, in May hit 31% of the overall market, with 25% being fully electric vehicles. In raw numbers, over 403,000 new electrified vehicles hit the Chinese market in May, growing 109% compared to the same month in 2021. Now, remember we talked about exponential growth and doubling? Again, basic math lesson here, but if you have 100% growth, you've doubled. Obviously, the nuance here, we've got some plug-in hybrids and shit thrown in as well. But generally speaking, we see a pretty clear and consistent rate of stunning Exponential growth. Again, everyone is underestimating how quickly EV adoption takes place. China's already at 25% fully electric vehicles, having just doubled year over year. Again, double 25, 2 times, and you end up at 100%. Unfortunately, and I agree with this, all electric vehicles are not the fastest growing subcategory of electric vehicles, as plug-in hybrid electric vehicles seem to be growing at the fastest rate, up 187% compared to the same time last year. Meanwhile, fully electric vehicle sales grew by 91%. So this is what we care about. 91%, close to 100, close to a doubling year over year. I know I'm repeating myself, but this is really important to understand. 25% market share, fully electric vehicles in China, having just doubled year over year, approximately. Look into the future. Do some thinking, figure out the implications. They're big. In even more defiance to trends seen here in the US, the vast majority of the EVs that were sold were affordable, and this is important. The more affordable the entry price to purchase an electric vehicle, obviously, the more of them will sell. I mean, duh. The top spot, as expected by anyone who has watched the Chinese market, fair point, was the Wuling Hongguang Mini EV, aka the death machine on wheels with literally zero safety features, which will lose a fight if somebody farts in its general direction. A cheap and practical EV made by none other than a joint venture with Government Motors. Believe it or not, Government Motors do actually make EVs in China, although not solely. We'll talk more about this in a moment. The company that sold 26 electric vehicles in the US in Q4 2021, SAIC Motors and Wuling Motors. So basically an orgy of a bunch of different companies here, resulting in a nice little electric vehicle you can throw in your handbag. And by the way, I want to be clear here. These vehicles serve a purpose, and as I said earlier, Tesla will never touch this market. It is a huge untapped opportunity outside of China. I personally would never even get in one of those things, but then I personally also value living a long time. Expect in the future more stunning sales from these types of ultra affordable, zero safety, ultra short range electric vehicles. These are great for people, especially in built up metropolitan areas where space is a luxury and a typical vehicle owner isn't really needing to go very far. Even with information on Chinese cars being inaccurate at times, looking at each of the top 10 most sold vehicles, only 3 had a base price over $30,000 US, with the majority being sold in the low $20,000 range, or even as low as $4,000, which is the price of the Wuling Mini. So a quick recap: China, EVs, 25%, next minute, 100%. And no one gets this. And now over on the Drive Tesla Canada website, quote, Tesla delivers first Model Y long-range vehicles built at Giga Texas. Of course, you wouldn't know it looking at Tesla stock today, but that's kind of the point. What the stock market's doing, what Tesla stock's doing, and what Tesla the company's doing don't generally tend to be correlated over the short term. If you read between the lines, maybe the word in there looks something like opportunity. Anyway, let's move on. Since the Model Y's launch in early 2020, all of the electric SUVs destined for the North American market have been made at Tesla's Fremont factory in California, which, for the record, as we know, is an extremely inefficient factory. Tesla bought this for literally a penny on the dollar back during the global financial crisis. They didn't design the factory from the ground up. They're like, well, we can buy it for fuck all. Let's just buy it and figure out what we can do and make the best of this clusterfuck. Tesla's Austin and Berlin factories are both the latest generation factory design. They've learned a ton. They've improved efficiencies. The factories are designed more like a chip than a traditional factory, meaning the Model Ys produced out of Texas and in Berlin, once these factories are ramped up, are going to be stunningly profitable versus the same vehicles being made in Fremont. This is very good news for Tesla stock investors. Today, that has changed as the automaker has surprised everybody and started deliveries of the long-range, dual-motor, all-wheel drive variant of the Model Y made at Giga Texas. And that's the punchline. If you guys want to read the article, I'll put a link in the description. Again, I just want to take a quick moment here to point out the insane disconnect between what Tesla's doing, their execution, their growth, and what Tesla stock's doing. All I can say is, for the quadrillionth time, don't say I didn't warn you. Now, time to hear some comments, complete and utter delusion and or an attempt at rallying the troops from VW's CEO, Herbert Diess, who, in response to his increasingly fat girlfriend asking, hey Herbert, do I look fat in this, said, no honey, you look amazing. You haven't gained a pound in the last few years and my erectile dysfunction has nothing at all to do with you now looking increasingly more like a whale. I didn't say that out loud, you guys imagined it. Point here, I think Herbert Diess is saying things that aren't true just to make people feel better, rather than facing the facts and just spitting them. Which is probably a good short-term strategy, but in terms of not dying of a cardiac event in a few years' time, it may just be better to rip the band-aid off and say things as they are instead of deluding yourself and your employees. By the way, just a quick note to all the offended obese people in the comments. I don't hate you for being obese. In fact, you're welcome to do and be whatever you want, including fat as f***. fuck. But we just have to acknowledge the reality here. By doing so, you're signing up for an early death sentence. Voluntarily, in fact. It is within your control. It's not your metabolism. You don't have big bones. You're just making decisions that are leading you to accumulate mass rather than reduce it. And in the case of Herbert Diess, there's some similarities between the way he's attempting to rally the troops at Volkswagen and the same people who will delude themselves that being 350 pounds is totally fine. I just have big bones. My parents were fat. It's not my fault. I'm not going to drop dead of a heart attack soon. There's no evidence to suggest that being a fat motherfucker has any health implications whatsoever. Everything's going to be fine, which is effectively what Herbert Diess is attempting to trick everyone who works at Volkswagen into believing. Oh, and just to be clear, I'm not trying to pick on fat people. I just think this is a great analogy. In fact, here's me fat a year ago, although I did get fat on purpose and I'm not fat now because fancy that. It's actually, you can not be fat if you choose to. Down 60 pounds in less than a year, got fat to pick up heavy stuff, got to a level of strength. I thought, okay, now time to not be fat anymore. Next minute, not fat anymore. Sorry to drive this point home, but I really don't want all the fat people watching this channel to drop dead 10, 15, 20, 30 years earlier and have health challenges in the last few decades of their life because they stayed fat. Now, time to head over to Volkswagen's CEO, Herbert Diess, explaining why his morbidly obese girlfriend looks great, hasn't gained a pound, and certainly isn't going to have a heart attack in the next few years. In fact, she's the healthiest person on earth. Over on the Financial Times website, quote, VW chief claims his 500-pound girlfriend is in perfect health. Oh, wait, I misread that. Sorry, let's try again. VW chief claims car maker can overtake weakening Tesla by 2025. Herbert Diess tells employees that group must seize opportunity to capitalize on Elon Musk's woes. I love it. Volkswagen can overtake Tesla to become the largest electric vehicle manufacturer by 2025, 3 years from now. As the challenge of lifting production weakens, its fiercest rival, the German group's chief executive, has claimed. Now, let's just pick through the logic on this one, okay? Tesla is massively expanding their production capacity, their production of electric vehicles, which allows Volkswagen to more quickly catch up to and then overtake Tesla in terms of electric vehicles produced. Makes a lot of sense, right? No, not right. Quote, Elon must simultaneously ramp up 2 highly complex factories in Austin and Berlin and expand production in Shanghai. That will cost him strength. That will cost him strength. That's right. That will cost him strength. By expanding production capacity, Tesla is becoming weaker. I mean, like I said, being morbidly obese is not a health problem at all. Everything's fine. I really don't know what planet Diess is on here. I honestly think Diess is just trying to delude his employees into thinking they have a chance, which they don't. But this is ass backwards. Herbert Diess told workers at VW's Wolfsburg headquarters on Tuesday, quote, we have to seize this opportunity and catch up quickly. By 2025, we can be in the lead. Diess added. No, fuck, dude. The confidence from the VW chief stands in contrast to comments he made just last month when he told a Financial Times conference that VW, quote, didn't expect its main US competitor to be so fast and well prepared, and that it would be a tight race to be the dominant electric vehicle producer by the middle of the decade. VW, which has invested more than 52 billion euros in the development of battery-powered vehicles. By the way, fun little exercise for you guys and girls. I could tell you the answer, but you know, I don't want to give it all away. Do your homework. Go find out how much it cost Tesla in total capital investment throughout the history of the company to get to their current scale. You may find that it is significantly less than the $52 billion, by the way, these are euros, but close enough to dollars, that VW has currently invested to not even have caught up to Tesla. But you'll only know if you do your homework. VW plans to sell approximately 700,000 electric cars worldwide this year, less than half of the 1.5 million that Tesla CEO Elon Musk suggested his brand would be able to deliver. One of these companies appears to be slightly more capital efficient and better at executing and moving faster than the other. No prizes for guessing which. However, Tesla, which coped better than most competitors during the early stages of the semiconductor supply crisis, has more recently been plagued with production problems at its so-called gigafactories in the US, Europe, and China. Musk told a Tesla Owners Club last month that the company's plants in Texas and Germany were, quote, gigantic money furnaces right now, losing billions of dollars as they struggled to secure parts and accelerate manufacturing in the face of global supply chain bottlenecks. Now, these are fair comments, a little bit out of context. Until all factories are ramped fully and fully utilizing their maximum production capacity, they're going to be burning unnecessary mountains of money. There's been a few delays, supply chain stuff, sure, but it's all temporary. In the scheme of things, it doesn't make a fucking difference. Diess, who is friendly with Musk and has credited the entrepreneur with popularizing electric cars, seized on these developments in his address to staff, saying that while VW's strongest competitor remains Tesla, the company was weakening. You know, the only thing weakening here is Deese's credibility. In the past, he's been fairly open, transparent, honest, and realistic. But the idea that Tesla is weakening, absolutely fucking absurd. I mean, absurd. The only thing weakening is his grip on reality. His presentation contained a meme that showed it. I love the fact that Deese is now including memes in his presentations. I'm sure that went down well with the board. Anyway, let's just look at the meme. We don't need to read the description. There's Tesla, unsuspecting. VW sneaking up on them. In contrast, VW was running its electric plant in Zwickau at full capacity again after temporary shutdowns, while its factories in China had come back online after scamdemic-related closures, Deese told employees. As a result, VW, quote, will close the gap to Tesla and not let it grow even larger. Even larger this year, predicted the chief executive. Musk said last week that he did not agree with industry forecasts predicting that VW would overtake Tesla this decade. I covered these idiotic forecasts in a recent video. Absurd to say the least. Quote, we don't really think about other competitors, he told a Bloomberg event. Quote, the demand for our cars is extremely high and the wait list is long. We are increasing production capacity as fast as humanly possible. And now a few additional comments here, some quotes from Electric. These have probably gone through a translator, but a little bit of additional context. These apparently comments from Herbert Diess. This should allow the car maker to narrow the Volkswagen Tesla gap this year and meet its goal of becoming market leader by 2025 if it seizes the moment while the US electric car maker burns cash on large investments, the CEO said. I mean, this is so absurd. I guess I should give some credit to Herbert Diess for trying to rally the troops, but this is so detached from reality. I don't think anyone at Volkswagen who's aware of what's going on would believe this. Then again, maybe the entire company is living under delusion. Recently had dinner with a friend who currently works at Volkswagen, and he tells me internally, no one has any idea what the fuck's going on. No one's in panic mode. There's no sense of urgency. There's a total lack of direction and cohesion. People don't really know how fast this is happening, what's going to change. No idea. But of course, that is just anecdotal. And now a quote from Diess on Tesla's ramp up in Austin and Berlin. Elon Musk has to ramp up 2 highly complex factories in Austin and Grünheide at the same time, as well as expand production in Shanghai. That's going to take strength out of him. Maybe that's where the weakening quote comes from. And it's worth reading Electric's take on this one. Quote, I'm not sure I get his point. Neither do I. Yes, it's hard to ramp up production at 2 factories simultaneously. But Tesla has quite a lot of experience with that at this point. Gigafactory Berlin and Texas are actually the reasons why I doubt that VW is going to catch up to Tesla anytime soon, and certainly not in 2024 or 2025. Completely agree. I mean, again, I just have to go back. The absurdity of claiming that the very fact that Tesla is massively expanding their production capacity means they're weakening, means that VW has a massive opportunity to catch up to Tesla. It's just anti-reality. If Tesla weren't ramping up multiple new factories, Herbert Diess might have a point. See, look, their production capacity is not increasing. We can catch them. But the absurdity to suggest with 2 massive new factories beginning to ramp up production and a massive expansion at Shanghai, that's going to allow VW to catch Tesla, it's just a joke. I'm on to you, Herbert Diess. I know what you're doing. Nobody's buying it. I think the key takeaway from these comments from Herbert Diess, desperate times call for desperate measures. Herbert Diess has gone from being honest, open, transparent, realistic, and firmly attached to reality, admitting Tesla's in the lead, we should be copying them, we're trying to catch up to them, it's going to be hard, and so on, to deciding that, well, Tesla's massively expanding, that obviously gives VW a huge opportunity to catch up to Tesla. As I said, desperate times, desperate measures. I think the more deluded the comments from Herbert Diess become, the more aware he is of how much trouble VW truly are in. As we heard, VW's annual production of EVs this year will be about half what Tesla does, despite 52 billion euros of investment in electric vehicles thus far. The idea that VW is catching up to Tesla anytime ever is absurd, but within 3 years? Bruh. Seriously. This isn't quite up there with Mary B.S. Barra stealing Tesla's valor, accepting the praise that General Motors had led the way in terms of electrification and that it mattered from the corrupt president of the United States. Although, in fairness, he may not actually be the one that wrote those words. Probably just the people that control Biden probably told him to say that. But anyway, the point remains. This isn't quite at Mary B.S. Barra and Joe Biden level of delusion and dishonesty yet, but he is inching closer, and this reeks of desperation and fear. Of course, the biggest news of all in this video, battery electric vehicles now comprising literally 1/4 of all new vehicles sold in China. We're 2 doublings away from 100% EVs in China, the world's largest, most important, and mature electric vehicle market. Look to China for where the rest of the world will be in a few years' time. People still don't seem to be getting this. And we need look no further than Tesla stock today, now less than $700 per share, market cap under $700 billion at the end of June 2022. I cannot believe this. But hey, I'm not complaining. As I said, I'm still buying as much as I possibly can with every spare cent, as we saw earlier in the video, maybe even more than every spare cent. Let's just leave it at that. And lastly, don't forget to join Patreon with the card in the corner or the link in the pinned comment. You'll gain instant up-to-date access to my Tesla stock price targets out over the next decade, plus loads of exclusive content, including well over 100 exclusive Q&A videos. And yes, believe it or not, occasionally in my Q&A videos, I will describe A, why I'm not fat, and B, why you can also not be fat if you choose to. I'm Stephen Mark Ryan. This is Solving the Money Problem, and I love you all. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoy these videos, there's a bunch of ways you can support the channel, access exclusive content and perks, and get some free stocks and crypto. Check out the links in the pinned comment below. You can also pick up some Tesla, Elon, and investment themed merch in the merch store. If you want to take it to the next level, join thousands of members on Patreon to gain exclusive access to over 100 Q&A videos, loads of exclusive content, exclusive access to my up-to-date 10-year Tesla stock price targets, and even access my Tesla valuation model at the investor support level and above. So check out the links in the pinned comment below, and thanks for your support. And if you're still watching, you're awesome. I read every single comment on this channel and I really appreciate your feedback. So if you've got any thoughts on today's video, questions, comments, or suggestions for a new video, let me know in the comments below. Check the cards on screen now to browse the merch store, join Patreon, or watch the next video.